Cowboy Nation, hey, here's the situation. Dak Prescott need to be signed, regardless of how we look at it. Even the mighty Troy Aikman said this. Hey, he doubted if Dak Prescott would play again under the franchise tag. Now, I want you guys to just bring this in for thoughts right quick. Last year, he was on the pace for throwing for 6,000 yards, right? Now, granted, we was losing, but just contextualize this. We had a historically bad defense, regardless of how we look at it. Yes, we can talk about coaches, we can talk about players and executions and things like that, and the COVID and these sorts. But the reality of it is that this team was on pace for historic numbers on the offensive side, just opposed on the defensive side. Now that we got a different type of philosophy as it relates to the defensive coordinator, one can argue and say, well, even with the Atlanta Falcons, their defense wasn't up to snuff. It's just more of the same. I can give you that bone, but I want you guys to just hear me out. Now is not the time to be looking at other teams, but just look in and focus in on our team. Get a solid quarterback to stay in this position, and his name is Rain Dakota Prescott. I'm not trying to beg you guys to believe in his philosophy, but I just want you guys to hear me out. You got a quarterback that knows this offense. You got a quarterback that knows this system. You got a system in place. Remember, I was talking about we need a system. And that, my friend, is Dak Prescott. Now that you have that, and you saw, even with one of the greatest quarterbacks you can ever lay your eyes on, Pat Mahomes, it's hard to play quarterback when your right tackle is out, your left tackle is out, right? Can anybody disagree? So when we look at all of this stuff, Cowboy Nation, when we look at it, just hear me out. Pay Dak Prescott, figure it out, because the salary cap and everything else is projected to go forward. Now, Jerry Wayne Jones stopped by a gas station, a 7-Eleven, supposedly, allegedly. Not going to say it was a 7-Eleven, but a lot of people just hit me up saying that it is a 7-Eleven, which is one of the sponsorships of Dak Prescott, or one of the things that he does his side business on, right? Side hustle groove. Now, gas station liquor, it ain't the top of the top. This ain't the creme de la creme, but I guess it's one of those things where you got a marquee owner and a billionaire going into a 7-Eleven, buying some alcohol, for crying out loud, some wine, some libations. Maybe, just maybe, he's buying that, going up to the Dak Prescott real estate or estates and saying, okay, I got your wine and I got your contract. That will be good. But we would never know until the Joneses put the ink on paper. All of this other stuff could be just marketing 101. Maybe Jerry want him an independent contract or a sponsor deal from a wine company or beyond, right? So many things. Now, somebody hit me up in the chat saying, hey, Law, can you imagine if he had a Bud Light in his hand, right? It would be crazy. Nevertheless, Cowboy Nation, they're going to have to figure this thing out, because I'm looking at it like, okay, I know a lot of people look at the Super Bowl and say, it was all on Tom Brady. It was all Tom Brady that won that Super Bowl, Law. Nobody else. It was Tom Brady. And I said, man, Tom Brady don't play defense. Oh, he don't catch the ball for himself. He don't play offensive line. It's a complete situation. And one got to remember this. Tom Brady is on the tail end of his career, although he's still good. I'm talking about there's nobody else. Nobody else that got 7 rings. Shout out to Tom Brady. Even if you don't like him, he will force you to call him to go. 7 rings, 7 of them in football. Some teams never made it to the Super Bowl, and this brother alone got 7. But it was not all by himself. Think about this. Even if Tom Brady was on the Dallas Cowboys, You still have to bring in defensive help. Look, you can't be going bickering back and forth. Who's the running back? Is it Tony Pollard? Is it Ezekiel Elliott? Right? You got all of those things. And you got to submerge what makes somebody tick on this end and what somebody tick on that end. Money. Tom Brady already got his bag many a moons ago. You can't expect Cowboy Nation to say to yourself, all right, let's bring in somebody and pay them for cheap and expecting to get the Tom Brady accolades. You can't do it. Tom Brady is one person. And I'm going to keep to remind you guys that defense played a hell of a good game. And we saw that even with Pat Mahomes, you need to protect your quarterback. One of the greatest quarterbacks out there in the NFL. And I don't want to hear nobody say, well, Pat Mahomes is all hype. No. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks to touch this land. It's just that, hey, without that offensive line, you see what's going on. So, Cowboys, take advantage, take a moment of this situation during this offseason. Look at your team and say, okay, I understand what we got on offense, right? We got everybody. We know offense sells tickets, but we need to get some defense. And I'm going to say this again, keep saying it. Defense win championships. The philosophy, though, no, a complete team win it, but you got to have a good core on your defense. Build from the interior all the way out. Meaning that you got to have somebody, a big plug inside. I've seen somebody in the chat says, hey, what about a Dalvin Tomlinson, right? What about in this draft, a big boy that can solidify the interior? I don't know who we going to have a chance and opportunity to draft, but what about that philosophy of getting a true one tech in the house, right? What about that philosophy of getting a free agent player as it relates to a Justin Simmons, as it relates to anybody that can step up and be ready to play outside of somebody that's only giving 30% or 40%. We need some dogs out there. But only way we can move this, Cowboy Nation, if they do what's right and sign your quarterback. Now, just to speak objectively, because I know a lot of people don't like the objective thoughts. But if you don't come to an agreement with Dak Prescott, then will and deal, Jerry. It's just that simple. Will and deal. It's not hard. It's not. As old folks say, either you're going to or get off the pot. I'm trying to keep it PG-13. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? Shout out to everybody that's watching this video. I really appreciate you all for tuning in. Let me know how you guys feel of Jerry Wayne Jones stopping at a 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven, a gas station, to get his wine, his liquor, his libation, his drink on. Let me know, Cowboy Nation. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute.